Hey Dramatics, welcome back to my channel and to my first initial reactions. So we're going to do initial reactions episode by episode of When the Phone Rings. This is episode 1 of that, and I had already said that I was not planning on doing any kind of premiering drama this year. I was trying to do catch-ups on all the ones I hadn't gotten to or watched. But of course, life does not happen that way. And so I hadn't watched a premiering drama since F4 Thailand. It's been that long. It's been like, 3 or 4 years now since that one came out. And so what has really got me onto this one is because I've been seeing this being discussed in my drama groups and a lot of these clips I've been seeing on YouTube, and so it really compelled me to watch. And so I actually sat down during Thanksgiving and compelled my mother to watch with me, who at the beginning of all of this, as much as I've been wanting her to watch a drama with me, she didn't feel like she could read the subtitles. I'm sure a lot of you have heard like a lot of your people tell you this, but she started watching the vertical dramas, the ones that just come randomly on your short feed. So it is possible. So I told her, we are watching a drama and let us watch this one. And so we sat down and watched episode 1 of this one. And since then, I have watched episode 2. But as of right now, I have not watched past that part because I want to do my first and second recast before I go into episodes 3 and 4, which are available. And as of right now that I'm recording this, episode 3 and 4 will be released tomorrow and Saturday, respectively. Now I'm talking about being hooked into this drama. This drama is something else, y'all. Some elements I was able to pick up on very easily and quickly, but there are some plot twists that definitely took me by surprise. Does it feel like a web novel? Yeah, but maybe because it's based off of one called The Number You Have Dialed. But I'm here for the salaciousness of it, so we're going to get into it. I'm doing these initial reactions as I watch each episode, a review of the episode with feelings on scenes, predictions of future episodes, etc. And I'm just going to cover the main meat of everything, not every single look and stuff like that, unless it's compelling to me to say something about it. And maybe in defense of the male lead, because there are some hard signs of just I could never. But I saw a lot of elements that he does give in this episode that's already foretelling about his feelings, and I just want to share all of that. And I'm sure a lot of you had also seen the exact same thing as I have, as people have made playing music videos about the first 2 episodes while we waited for the other ones to come up. So I'm going to recap all of this. So either way, there's going to be spoilers ahead. So don't watch unless you've already seen this drama or you just don't care. So upon first reaction, I thought that from episode 1, it sucks you into the plot almost immediately. Hong Hee-ju, played by Cha Soo-bin, is someone who's mute. She has a job doing sign language at a news group or a television station or something like that. But during the broadcast, she there comes across some technical difficulties where she is giving a middle finger on the loop. And it doesn't seem like from first instance, it seems like an unfortunate circumstance that just happens. But it also makes you wonder if this was a deliberate thing that someone had deliberately done this in order for her to get trapped out or for her to be let go early. I don't know. So either way, I'm not sure if that's a planned incident or not. So then there comes an announcement that there's about to be an emergency broadcast that's about to happen when Park Sun, played by Yoo Young-suk, is the spokesperson for the president. And so he's coming on with this press conference that there's been this issue of some hostages that are being held, and that essentially the office of the president will not give way to terroristic threats, so they will not give any kind of ransom or anything for the hostages. That's not how they're going to play ball. So while everyone's enamored about Park Sun on how he speaks, how handsome he is. We already have one fangirl who's a reporter of this news station. The thing about this is that Hong Hee-ju does not give a flip. She gives his televised self a blatant middle finger before leaving. Already, things seem a bit personal. But what I mean about this is that even before this very scene, there is a brief introduction of them meeting at a party at the British Embassy. And she looks terrified to be there, while our boy has already been to the school of hard features. Like he's not giving anything away, and he tells her not to be nervous, and also don't give away too much about their relationship. What relationship is that? Oh, I'm so glad that you asked. The thing about this is that if you are not aware of the premise already, our two mains are already married. Been married for 3 years. So in this private ceremony beforehand, after he tells her to take off everything for some reason, I don't think he's just being a demanding you know what, where they essentially are getting married with no guests. This is being a private marriage. We find out that Park Sung was originally supposed to marry her sister, but the sister did not want to get married and ran off. So Hong Hee-joo is the replacement bride, or as he says, his hostage, essentially. That's the way to make you have like imposter syndrome real quick, isn't it? So Park Sung lays out some of these ground rules up front that she essentially has to sign this contract or their wedding vows on it. I know, how freaking sweet. So, number 1, she can't initiate divorce. Number 2, especially if it's during an election year, which it is in our current time. Number 3, she can't publicly share that she's his wife. So, pretty much any grounds of their marriage or her being married to him, she cannot say, cannot disclose, cannot share. And any violation of any of those 3 rules, she has to cough up 2 billion won. For Hong Hee-joo, that is years too long of being miserable with his late nights and his aloofness. So she wants out, and she, I think, is thinking of ways that she can get that out. So the same night of the broadcast, she's having dinner with her mother and her mother-in-law, who are just a lovely set of human beings. Not really. The mother-in-law wants Hong Hee-joo to quit her job, and her mother wishes for her to secure the bag. In other words, she wants her to be the more dutiful wife, that by looking the part, by getting plastic surgery. Why haven't you got pregnant yet? And You know, she wants her to secure the security bag, especially by having children, that will secure her to Park Sung by any means necessary. And she's a whole other pill that we will swallow in the next episode more. So when driving home, she loses control of her car, literally. So someone has taken the reins of it to where it turns to where it is weaving in and out of traffic. It is accelerating on its own. She can't get it to stop. And then it turns at an intersection where she, narrowly misses cars and comes to a stop. And then a massive truck is about to come, but it manages to weave around her. But after that, she sees a hooded figure in the rain, pretty much like waiting for her. Not scary in the least. So this man, this hooded figure, he climbs into her back seat and with practically a knife to her neck, compels her to drive while he calls her husband on an untraceable phone with a complicated voice modulator on it. What's crazy is that the man is threatening Hong Hee-joo, but she can't verify who she is because she's mute. And I'm like, I have no idea why the kidnapper also didn't say like, hey, I have your wife, because I guess like we'll get into this a little later about the reason why he probably didn't. But essentially, Park Sung is still in his like hardball playing tactics here. He doesn't believe that this is happening, and so he is cold to a kidnapper like we've seen him before during the I guess like the broadcast of the hostage negotiation status. And so he's telling him that when all this is said and done, to call him after this dude has ended his wife essentially. But he doesn't take the threat sitting all the way down, though. I will give this to him that Park Sung does get up and have his colleagues trace the number, because he's not sure if this is legit or not, if someone's trying to BS him, because he gets this a lot. There's like a little bit of another reason why I'm already kind of like, things aren't as it seems with Park Sung. As much as he's giving off this a-hole, aloof, cold, very stoic kind of behavior, I think really with him is that, or at least my feeling is that Park Soon had already thought that he was being very careful and not giving away too much of who he was married to. He does sport a wedding ring, which, side note, I think is highly sexy on him. It is very sexy. And I'm like, it's not remiss to me that a lot of the shots do focus on that wedding ring on him. Which I think is very singular, because it goes to show, like, I think, like, just his devotion to her. And I'll get into that a little later, but I think it's also interesting that she does not sport one at all. So I think, like, on their wedding day, he does give her a ring, but she does not wear it at all. It's probably a combination of just like, well, if you're not making me feel like I'm an actual partner in this marriage, more like a maid for you or something, then I'm not going to wear that. I'm not going to maintain a facade that's fake anyway. So I think also to his own, I guess excuse of his behavior or thoughts during this particular scene or group of scenes is because I think he had thought he had done such due diligence of keeping her protected and safe, because the public at large does not know who he's married to still. The rumors have been that he's married to her sister, but just secretly. But he had made sure that there was no evidence that there was any kind of like leakage out there regarding her as his wife. And so this guy calling him saying that I have your wife, and he does not say her name at all. Park Soon is up there like calmly thinking, is like, well, who do you have? Do you actually have my wife? Are you being actually like are you being truthful here? Because like I said, Hong Hee-ju, she can't speak. She cannot testify to say like, I'm here. Yes, please rescue me. No, she can't say anything, and he can't get that feedback to verify that. And so, and of course, like the kidnapper at this juncture never says who he has. So that kind of leaves all that vague. So Park Soon, of course, being in the kind of position that he's in, he has to be at a critical level that he just can't give and cave to every single thing that happens. He has to actually like take things apart and take it as a grain of salt, and also call a lot of bluffs. So, and of course, like I also think like him being and having due diligence of keeping her identity secure and safe and away from the public, that he thought he had already done. I think he like started to feel himself and was cocky enough to believe that no one would ever find out. But the thing about it is, he underestimated the kidnapper. But he's not the only one. The kidnapper and the audience underestimate the secrets of Hong Hee-ju, who actually speaks, yelling for the kidnapper to call her jerk of a husband back. Even dialed the phone back herself. That blew me away. I figured she'd get her speech back eventually, but I didn't realize she was going to start speaking and keeping a secret from episode 1. That was the plot twist I did not expect. I thought that was brilliant. So she goes crazy when the kidnapper, essentially her, had dialed him back and like asking him to pick up, and she's up there flooring it, and she goes over a speed bump and spinning the car out, which ends up knocking out the kidnapper. So the next moment we know, she's suddenly at home. We don't know how she got there, but she's showering and she's covering up the like a cut she got on the neck. She has bruises on her forehead and on her and on both sides of her neck, and so she is making dinner, and she's angrily making dinner, and I don't blame her, because I'm like all the circumstances had just happened. She essentially just got threatened by proxy of a man who was trying to pretty much get a rise out of her husband. Her husband, as far as she knows, doesn't really want her, doesn't really like her, doesn't hardly talk to her or communicate with her, except for, I guess, just to make sure that she is okay. But most of the time, I'm sure it seems like it's been a very cold marriage, and that she's pretty much been on her own throughout this entire affair. So it's like, naturally you understand her emotions, because it's like, it seemed as if, like, even just for curiosity's sake, it's like, you didn't care if I would have died. Like, Like, what would have happened to me? Like, how would you have felt if something had happened to me? And it seemed like he didn't care about her. And the thing about this is that we see as the audience that he does care. He cares for her more than he lets on. And I already know how he feels a little bit more in episode 2, but I already felt in episode 1 where I'm just like, there's some things that are already foretelling as much and as straight-laced and as controlled as he seems like he is. Oh, he's not when it comes to her. And here's a little bit of telling signs that I guess, especially like anytime I've noticed that he loses control, is either like regarding her. And it also goes to show he's also more of a man of action when it comes to his love language, even if his face and words are saying something else. While he's driving that reporter that he gets the call from, after he gets the call from the kidnapper, he is driving erratically. I mean, weaving in and out of traffic. And you would think that it was because of the vengeance that he was trying to get back for that reporter doing that that mocking article on him. But no. The main reason why he was up there doing this was because he was disturbed at the possibility of someone finding out who his wife is and threatening her. And then secondly, he was trying to get home to his wife, because even after he had dropped off that reporter, asking that reporter if he can trace his number, which was like a United States number, and so even after he leaves him, he is weaving out of traffic to get home, and he drives straight there and sees that she's there and sees that she's okay. So this is highly like the antithesis of what we see up front: the composed, the handsome, the put together, the person who can enunciate very well and articulate his thoughts. He is out of his freaking mind at the thought that she's in trouble. So to me, like, that's already a very foretelling thought about his feelings, and that like literally he will go crazy over her, and if anyone threatens her life. This is like when we get to see his visage slip, his true feelings and self. And it's also foreshadowed regarding anything about her in the future, even towards the end of this episode. And I'm going to probably go ahead and say episode 2, when you get a lot more. Even at this juncture, though, I remember asking my mom this. I'm like, so what did she do with the kidnapper? Where's the kidnapper? Is he dead? Did she leave him outside on the road? Did she bury him? Like, where is he? And we don't get the answer in this episode. Not really. But what we do get is that back at the initial scene at the start of the episode, when they're at the embassy, where she's there to be the interpreter for the ambassador's wife, who's all assuming that she's his wife. But Park Sung is telling truths up front that his wife has a disability, which made her stutter a little bit in her sighing, as y'all saw, and that the reason he doesn't show her off in public, that essentially she doesn't want him to be a target, and to let people be aware that she is his weakness. And I'm just like, ooh, that was so good. Truth in words, but the unfortunate thing is that it's like these are words that she should have heard herself, or else she wouldn't felt like these words were rung hollow and untrue. I think like this to him, and like this also, like her being with him at this event was also a indirect way of him showing his love for her, because he could have gotten anyone else, but he wanted his wife to be there with him. And technically she was there to do a job, not to be actually, his wife like he wants her to be, but can't because of circumstances, this, that, and the third. And there probably could be more than just political intrigue. It could be also some other deal that he had dealt with, I'm not sure, with her sister or whatever else, that, she pretty much has to stay under wraps for a while. I don't know. That's just like a little speculation, but maybe, like, to me, like, this is like an indirect way for him to be able to be with her publicly in this way. Also makes me wonder, like, the reason why he couldn't tell her any of his feelings to her up front, maybe because it would have been obvious in this kind of situation for her to what if she was lovey-dovey and doe-eyes at him at this event, and then like one of his enemies sees it and then it's a target? But I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, what about all these other wives of, high-ranking officials and ambassadors and whatnot? They're not afraid to parade their wives unless you have something else privately that you really need to deal with. So, but I'm like, I don't know. I see, like, if that was the case, I can see what he's trying to do, but that doesn't help their current situation right now. Even with all of this doesn't sit very well with Hong Hee-jun, and why would it? The man was more than forthcoming to the British ambassador than he was even to her face, and she feels all kinds of ways about it, which she has every right to be. They get into a row where she tells him off in sign language, which he doesn't understand, or say he doesn't understand. I'm not sure which is the case. So, but she storms off and he gets a phone call from the kidnapper. So Park Sung is confident and cocky until the kidnapper tells him of how the man hardly ate a thing and what food was there at the occasion, meaning that the kidnapper is there and knows where he is. And so that immediately changes Park Sung's behavior immediately, and he goes searching for this kidnapper, and what we will assume also his wife, because his wife also said that she was leaving. He starts chasing someone who he assumes is the band he's talking to, but it wasn't him. But what we do find that not only is the kidnapper there, well, the voice on the phone is there, sorta. The voice on the phone is none other than Hong Hee-jun. Why? Since the phone has the modulator still on it, Park Sung can't detect it's her, especially since the man has no idea she can speak. So she details that if Park Sung doesn't divorce his wife, that she will leak the fact that he's married to the wrong sister, since everyone assumes that his wife is, of course, her sister, which will cause a major scandal, and that will be devastating to challenge, since it's now election time. This is what he doesn't need right now. But y'all, the ever-growing hotness I feel towards Park Sung comes forward with this phone scene. So, and this to me cements, I'm like, he's in love with her. That's immediately this. So, all the while he's keeping his cool, he is simmering, and you can just tell it. He tells the kidnapper essentially of how dare you bring my person into this, and he'll never give his wife up. Ugh, hotness. And upon hearing what all happened to her that night and how she was terrified, Park Sung hits a wall to where his knuckles are bloodied and bruised. Again, his slip of control when it comes to her. It goes back to that. And he tells the kidnapper now that he's done playing with kid gloves and that there won't be any diplomatic or peaceful arrest when it comes to this kidnapper. Oh, hell no, it's not. That time has passed. It's now personal, and he's about to come and find this dude himself. Y'all, that was so effing hot. I can't even tell you why, but that my person thing, it gave me such Lang So feelings, and so I started to love Park Sung because of that. It showed me exactly what his character type was. He's in love with her, but he's unsure on how to display that love to her so openly and secure. But it also seems like on her side that she's nothing but a trophy that he just keeps in a case and just takes out on occasion to look at and then puts it back in, but he doesn't take it off or show it to anybody else. So it's not really fair to Hong Hee-jun either, who gets nothing from him but security, quote unquote, and nothing else. I mean, like, there's not really a fair trade in regards to that, and like, it makes her feel empty. So I get the desperation. You get her desperation on why she is trying to do this to get out of this god-awful marriage. I mean, the woman is counting down the calendar post-election day so she can try and incite a divorce somehow. So her turning to this deception here is a way for her to get him to leave her, or Or she does ask for him to pay a ransom, like pretty much like hush money of 2 million won, the money she has to pay to get out of the divorce, so that she can go ahead and get free from this. But she will soon learn the lengths that Park Sun will go to never give her up. Like, he's there for keeps, and this is what it is. That's just my recap of this. I'm sorry for going off the cuff on so many things, but this show is just so full of feelings, and I'm not the only one who feels this way. So please, down in the comment section, let me know how you felt about episode 1. Don't tell me anything more past that, but please don't. But just let me know what your first initial reaction was about the scenes I had mentioned. Did they make you just as hot as they did for me? Because they definitely did it for me. Please like this video, subscribe to stay a while, and let me know if you've watched episode 1 and what your impression is. Please just let me know all your thoughts and feelings, and I'll let you know mine. But hey, it's just my thought.